Transcript of interview with Operative number 35579, returning for debrief from assignment number 4265. So, we've seen your initial analysis paper and reviewed your observations data, and to be completely honest, most of it is not adding up for us. Yes, I can imagine that would be the case, but I assure you I was extremely rigorous in my methods, and careful to ensure that everything I put into my report is accurate. I stand by the work. We do not doubt that your report accurately reflects your perceptions of the species, but there are many on the aggregation and evaluations team who have expressed some level of skepticism about the claims you've made. And those skepticisms are? Well, in short, the level of decohesion you note in your report amongst the species should, by every sociological and biological metric, render advanced civilization impossible to achieve or sustain. A species which reportedly has such a variety of philosophies, ethical structures, values, morals, and normative viewpoints cannot reach the heights you've described, nor sustain those heights for long. They are a contentious lot, I will not dispute that point, and it remains to be seen whether they can sustain the progress they've made thus far, but by their own assessment it is the disunity amongst them that has allowed for their sudden technological advancement. You'll forgive me for belabouring this, but I'm afraid I'm still failing to comprehend you completely. We have run observations of more than 2,000 pre-sapient and early sapient species with competitive internal social structures, and exactly 0 of them have achieved internal combustion engines, let alone atom smashing. We have run extensive simulations as well. I checked before we sat down for this discussion, and of the more than 16 billion simulated societies with a cohesion score of less than 2.5. And do you know how many have achieved orbit? Set up off-world colonies? Sent probes to other star systems? None. None. And yet this species, with an asinine cohesion value of 0.72, has achieved a rate of technological progression which is beyond simple linearity. It has been exponential. Frankly, it shouldn't exist. They shouldn't exist. Infighting and inefficient allocation of effort and resources spent competing amongst themselves should have caused them to collapse or at least plateau. And yet... And yet, I have no choice but to accept your report as accurate. It matches our long-range sensor data. Did you know that they're fighting an interstellar conflict amongst themselves right now? We can pick up neutrino cascades from their atomics. They're fighting 4 concurrent interstellar wars, actually. 4? Never mind that. In spite of this tendency to self-destruction, your analysis claims that they will still reach technological parity with the galactic community within 200 standard years. You further claim that if left undisturbed, they shall be in ascendancy over all of us within 500 standard years. This is astonishing and deeply disturbing progress. I used all the standard models for projecting growth, though I had to modify the equations to allow for decohesion and internal competition. I assume you've checked my work? We feel your work is valid, even if we do not like the results you obtained. So then, you know what I know. Their species, the humans, appear to be wholly unique amongst the galactic community. They have already surpassed some of the lower-tier species in several scientific and engineering fields, even though, by virtue of their newness on the galactic stage, they have yet to realize they are not alone in the universe. Yes, and we have already convened a special session of the Council to discuss what level of force will be required to reduce the potential threat level to acceptable parameters. Our initial analysis gives for eradication the highest probability of success at 95.6%. The next highest confidence level is political infiltration and chemical sterilization, but that only reached a 58.6% probability, so we'll be recommending the former to the Council. That would not be advisable. Explain. Look, you haven't been among humans as I have. They're completely relentless, especially when you take away their alternatives. Yes, we might be able to grind them into dust-free force, but if we don't succeed, you can push my 500-year time horizon up to 100 years or less. You're being hyperbolic, surely. I am not. They exist for competition. If you give them one, even one with an impossible bar, they'll find a way to get over it. They may even have a higher cohesion score by the end, but you won't be happy with the prediction accuracy that will give us, because the only prediction will be that they will stop at nothing to see that we can never compete with them again. None of us, if that's what it will take. You really believe they would commit xenocide against all the races of the galaxy? If we gave them no alternative, yes, absolutely, and with no hesitation. That's barbaric, monstrous even. No, it's winning the competition for survival through supremacy. It's winning all future conflicts by winning the first without any doubt as to who the victor was. I'm beginning to wonder if you need a full psychoval. I've been wondering the same. I don't know that it would find anything, though. It's just that I cannot unsee the ways they create meaning and order through destruction. They have a metaphor for this, you know. It's an imaginary winged creature, not entirely dissimilar to the feathered creatures which fly across the skies of their homeworld. However, this imagined creature is born only out of the ashes of the one which came before it. It cannot be created by any means other than the destruction of its predecessor. They call it a phoenix, and say that it represents creativity and rebirth. But there is another descriptor they use for this imagined beast. They say that from the moment it is born until the time that it is ash, it is a flame. This, they say, represents its passion and will. A flame with life through death and death and birth. That is humanity. That is what we're up against. Or not, if we choose our path forward wisely. I do not understand. Nor did I. Creative destruction, that's the term for it among their kind. An oxymoron of a term for an oxymoron of a species. You see, their infighting, their lack of cohesion, the competition which drives them, all of it is creative destruction. It is impossible to create something by destroying something else. Of course it is. And they managed to do it anyway. What then do you suggest we do about these humans? All you have said only reaffirms in my mind that complete annihilation is the only suitable course for the stability and prosperity of the races of the galaxy. There is very probably only one course which offers hope, and yet we are still the more mature, the more advanced. If we were to be magnanimous with the humans, share with them freely all the knowledge that we have cultivated over all our long millennia, then when they surpass us, they may guard and protect us. From whom? Them? Yes, or from any other. They are like that also. Compassion is not lost to their competition. They can be driven to destroy, yes, both themselves and others, but they are somehow also able to love each other, even as they compete with one another. They may well be able to love us too if we give them an open hand rather than a closed fist. Not one word you said makes the least sense. You say that they are competitive. They are clearly uncohesive. They slaughter each other by the millions and billions without discrimination. Yet you say that they have the capacity for mercy in their competition? You say that they can create by destroying? You say that they can guard us from harm, though they be inferior to us? These are the ravings of a lunatic. This is not the counsel of a trained operative. Perhaps not, but it is still the only solution. If we strike and fail, it shall be the end of all of us. They may not even need to stop competing amongst themselves as they outcompete us. For we shall have given them a new game to play amongst their kind. Who can develop the greatest weapon? Who can lead the most decorated fleet? Who can rain fire down upon the most of our worlds? Yes, such a competition would suit the flame inside them, just as well as a competition for who could help the most of us. Who could protect and uplift the most of us? I do not believe there is any more value to be gleaned from this interview. Surely your mind has been warped during your time with these creatures, these humans. Somehow your ability to see clearly has been clouded. I shall end the recording here. I wonder then, what beautiful things shall they create from our ashes?